Now on News 8 Survival Story, the effort to help after a massive explosion and how the homeowner was able to get out of this alive.
Live from WQAD, News 8 at 5 starts now.
Good evening, I'm Denise Sanitka.
And I'm Jim Mertens. Thanks for joining us at 5. A Kewanee man remains hospitalized after his home exploded Wednesday afternoon with him inside, but remarkably 65-year-old Eddie Bickers managed to escape without life-threatening injuries. News 8's John David shows why it's a real survival story.
By all accounts in Kewanee,
it really rocked the ground.
This home explosion should kill Eddie Bickers.
You know, the flames were high.
The 65-year-old man inside on his computer around 4 Wednesday afternoon.
He's very sweet. He's one of the nicest guys.
He gave the shirt off his back for somebody that he didn't even know.
Maybe kindness giving him strength to crawl out before his house collapses. Fortunate to get out with second-degree burns, putting him in the hospital.
Very lucky, because the house was down in like 10 minutes.
In Thursday's daylight, all of this damage is even harder to look at, but it's even more amazing that their friend and neighbor was able to escape. Charred debris is like a snapshot in time. The blast burying a bike and boat, planting a picture frame, yet leaving a row of cans in place.
Some of the debris from his house ended up across the way here.
The strange scene attracting plenty of drive-by onlookers. His cousin, Sherry Nimrick, lives next door, where damage spread.
We had some windows broken and such, so like I said, we're all okay, and Eddie's okay, that's all that matters.
While Eddie has insurance, dealing with this won't be easy.
It's difficult whenever it happens to anybody, you know, it's a terrible thing. The guy's without a house.
From day to day, you don't know what's going to happen, really. I mean, you never know in life. Something could happen really fast.
And just as fast, friends are coming to the rescue.
Man, I'm praying for him because going through this is hard. It's tough.
Yet, not tough enough for a survivor who beat the blast. In Kewanee, John David, WQAD, News 8.
Firefighters are investigating the cause of that explosion. They expect that it could be a gas explosion from something inside the house. You can check our web story on WQAD.com to see how you can help Eddie.
Things are back to normal tonight after police in Clinton, Iowa were forced to lock down a Walmart store. Police say they were called first to the Wild Rose Casino for a disturbance. They were looking for a man they thought had a gun. Well, they ended up tracking down 35-year-old Jacob Daw at the Walmart store hiding in a sales bin. The store was on lockdown from about 9 this morning until just before noon.
We had very good communications amongst the inside, the outside, and all the agencies, and we all knew what every other person was doing, and which shows by the positive result that we had. A wanted subject was taken into custody without any harm to the business, you know, structure-wise, or the employees or the customers. It was a good result, so it was great.
Clinton police say that Jacob Daw is wanted on several different warrants and could face new charges after today's arrest. Davenport police say that brake failure may have caused a tow truck to crash into a house. It happened near the intersection of Eastern Avenue and 39th Street. Crews pulled the truck out of the home this morning, nearly a week after it crashed into the house. The homeowner says the truck was parked at the Winding Hills apartment complex when it rolled downhill, crossed traffic, and then slammed into his house.
That was a good thing. You know, just the house is what got killed instead of human. You could always replace the house, but a human life, you just can't.
Police aren't saying who the driver is or if anyone will be ticketed.
Rock Island County investigators say they are still trying to figure out if any charges will be filed against a driver accused of killing a bicyclist back in December. Witnesses say Bob Moldenauer, otherwise known as the Can Man, was crossing the street with his bicycle when he was hit by a van. Neighbors in the area say the man was homeless and collected aluminum cans for money. Investigators say they are still deciding if they will file charges against that driver.
It is crunch time for the Muscatine City Council and the mayor tonight. After months of bad blood, the council wants permission to remove the mayor from office. News 8's Jessica Dedita is live in Muscatine for tonight's meeting and the reason behind this formal request.
Hi, Denise. Yes, tonight the Muscatine City Council will meet here to vote on whether or not they should ask the city attorney to remove Mayor Brodersen from office. The mayor took office in 2016 and says the council has stripped her of some of her powers, which include appointing elected officials and other key positions. Muscatine City and Iowa Code say a mayor can be removed from office by the city council under certain circumstances like corruption, extortion, or willful misconduct. But the council hasn't given a reason for the push to remove Brodersen from her mayoral seat. And coming up tonight at 6, we will speak to the mayor about what she has to say about this push to remove her from office. Reporting live in Muscatine, Jessica Dedita, WQAD News 8.
The mayor's term is over at the end of this year.
Well, it was a rough morning for some parts of Illinois after freezing rain may move through the area. Actually, enough ice was built up on railroad tracks to strand passengers for more than 5 hours in Chicago. The train not able to make it up a small hill, so operators had to call in another engine to push it back to the nearest station. One passenger saying she boarded at 5:44 this morning, got off at 11. And still hadn't reached her destination.
That's a terrible commute.
Yeah, I'll tell you the truth. You want to be careful whenever you're driving because James is saying we're seeing a mix of weather over the last few days and into the future.
James Zahara watching it all for us in the Weather Center tonight. Hi, James.
Hey, guys. Yeah, roadways right now are all fine, but that's going to change, I do believe, as we head to the later end of the weekend. Let's first talk about our temperatures across the area, and it has been a cold one out there as readings have been in the 20s just about all day. Now we're seeing some upper teens in areas around DeWitt, Maquoketa, as well as over in Galena. Currently in the Quad Cities, 23 degrees after a cold daytime high of 26, and there is just enough of a wind out there to produce wind chills around the lower teens. But it's all dry. We expect to see that as well as we head into tomorrow. But as we head later in the weekend, things will get a little interesting for us around here locally. Out to the west, it is going to be an absolute mess in areas around Kansas and portions of Missouri. That is going to be in the form of some accumulation ice, and that is what we're anticipating in some of our hometowns as we head into the weekend. I'll tell you what part of the weekend I'm looking at and what towns are going to be impacted coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you, James. Road crews are busy filling potholes as the pavement shifts this winter. Workers in Moline try to keep up with problems on the high traffic roads like 6th Avenue. Workers say the constant traffic hitting the same spots only makes the potholes worse. You can help the city of Moline by letting the Public Works Department know about these problem areas.
Anywhere that anybody's going to drive, they need to be aware of them, and if they see them, certainly report them and to slow down as they see that stuff, and if they can avoid them at all possible, they certainly want to do that. The last thing anybody wants to do is deal with any sort of damage to their vehicle.
Moline does have a pothole hotline that you can call if you see a problem. Davenport and Bettendorf also have the option of calling the city or filling out a pothole repair request form online.
Deer hunting season landed more than 200 Illinois and Indiana residents in big trouble with conservation officers. According to investigators, hunters were issued more than $85,000 in fines for falsely claiming residency in Illinois and Indiana. Hunters can get permits cheaper if they live in state, but hundreds of hunters falsely give information to pay less money. In all, 211 Illinois hunters were busted. The joint operation with Indiana started in early 2015 and ran through 2016. Illinois State University will soon be home to a large part of circus history. The school's library receiving nearly $300,000 to digitize a massive collection of circus records dating back to the 19th century. The records contain information about people, positions, and events during a circus show's season. The library will work with officials in Baraboo, Wisconsin and Sarasota, Florida to create access for circus museums.
A tuition increase could be coming for students at Iowa's community colleges, and it all hinges on the governor's plan to cut state funding. News 8's Megan Noe joins us live in Bettendorf to explain how much money's on the table.
Denise, Iowa lawmakers are looking to cut $100 million from the current year's budget, and leaders here at Scott Community College were surprised to learn that they may have to come up with some of that money. This week, Iowa Governor Terry Branstad offered his proposal for the cuts, which includes $8.7 million from the state's community colleges. For Eastern Iowa community colleges, that would mean a loss of $750,000. That impact would be spread out among the schools in Clinton, Muscatine, and Scott County.
We'll be looking at programs, we'll be looking at services, we'll be looking at some of those things. And then, of course, next year we'll probably be looking at a tuition increase. Whether we like it or not, that's a real possibility for us.
Lawmakers must now decide whether or not to move forward with the governor's proposal. Any cuts to EICC's budget won't impact plans to create a urban campus for Scott Community College in downtown Davenport. School leaders say that money is in a separate fund and is not part of the general budget. Reporting live in Bettendorf, Megan Noe, WQAD News 8.
Thank you, Megan. And the governor's also proposed cutting more than $25 million from Iowa's Board of Regents, which oversees the state's 3 public universities.
Still ahead today at 5, caring when no one else will.
The sanctuary that never closes, why an unexpected surprise will keep the doors open.
And the big news this weekend is the potential for some ice accumulating in some of our hometowns. I'll show you how it's going to be progressing as we head into the later half of the weekend, especially here locally, right after the break here on News 8 at 5.
You're watching WQAD News 8 at 5 with Jim Mertens and Denise Anitka.